Hey everybody, Clyde here. Today we are going to talk about a few ships that have some key attribute, capability, feature, some trick that is super famous. It's what the ship is known for. And then we're going to talk about some other elements of that ship that perhaps not everybody knows. Now, you may be a World of Warships expert. If that's the case, and maybe I left something out, something interesting, hit me up in the comments below. Let's talk about it. I learn a lot from my viewers. If maybe you learned something, also hit me up in the comments down below. Let me know what you learned and tell me about why you think that ship is cool or maybe not cool. Without further ado, let's get started talking about our first ship. The USS Massachusetts is one of the most beloved battleships in World of Warships. Everybody loves it. Destroyer mains, cruiser mains. Well, okay, those guys might not love it that much because it's constantly killing them. And what is it killing them with? Secondaries. The Massachusetts is known for its secondary armament. It has 20 127mm secondaries that can fire as far as 11.3 kilometers, and they pen 21mm of armor with their HE, which is incredible. 21mm is enough to get through tons of cruisers and pretty much every destroyer. Now, why do we think those secondaries work so well? Everybody thinks they work so well because there's a ton of them, because they're big, and because they're pretty accurate. And all of those things are true. But the other reason why they work so well is this. I've got 4 more hull repairs, and we're 14 minutes left in the match. So yeah, I'm going to smash one now. They run for 28 seconds, and they reload. Man, they reload so fast on the Massachusetts. Did you know this? I didn't know this. 40-second reload on the hull repair. No wonder this thing is so friggin' incredible. We're gonna go back and take a look at the equipment on this ship. Let's go there right away. The reason they work so well is because you don't die in the Massachusetts. Why don't you die? Not because of your secondaries. Well, I think the secondaries in the Massachusetts are important. The most important attribute in this ship, as far as I'm concerned, is its hull repair. The Massachusetts has the best hull repair of any Tier 8 battleship in the game. 397 hit points per second. And mine, of course, is augmented slightly with my captain. It acts for 30.8 seconds. The base is 28 seconds. And it reloads in just 40 seconds. Most battleships have a reload of 80 seconds. There are a few that are a little bit faster. I believe the Monarch on the British line is probably the next fastest. But the fact that you can run that hull repair for 28 seconds, weather 40 seconds worth of damage, and then run it again, and then weather 40 seconds worth of damage and then run it again is what makes the Massachusetts so special. The reason the secondaries are good on the Massachusetts is because A, they're good, but B, you get to live longer than you deserve to because the hull repair on this ship is incredible. So the next time one of your nerd friends says, you know what's so great about the Massachusetts is its secondary armament, you can say, yeah, but the secondaries only matter if you're not sunk. And you know what keeps you not sunk? Repair party on the Massachusetts, which is almost brokenly good, and that is possibly why this ship is no longer available in the premium shop. For many World of Warships players, the St. Louis is the first ship that you would call a favorite ship. In fact, for many people, it's the first ship that they really said, yes, World of Warships is a game for me. And I'll tell you why. At least on the North American servers, and especially with Americans, I think a lot of us start to play the US cruiser line as a place to begin. You can start cruisers, of course, at Tier 1, and destroyers are a little bit tricky. Torpedoes are kind of complicated when you're a brand new player, and battleships are so slow, and if you miss a shot, you have to wait 30 seconds to shoot again. So you choose something like the St. Louis. You like the St. Louis, sure, and then when you get the hull upgrade, you realize that it gets 1,000,000 guns. It gets 14 main battery guns and 18 secondaries. And you're sitting here thinking, I can shoot constantly with this thing. And everybody thinks of the St. Louis as that Tier 3 cruiser with a lot of guns. And that's true. That's exactly what it is. But what a lot of people start to realize later is how difficult it is to citadel the St. Louis. Now, I'm not going to tell you it's impossible. Obviously, it can be done. I've done it, and maybe you have too. But let's take a look at why the St. Louis is so difficult to citadel. Now, it has a really great armor profile. Let's pull this up. Doesn't look that special right here, right? We've got a lot of 6mm armor, 13mm armor fore and aft. Well, let's pull that armor off. Get rid of the superstructure, get rid of the bow and tail armor, get rid of the guns. No big deal. So what we have here we take a look at it, if we get rid of the Citadel, this is a turtleback armor casemate that is on the St. Louis. This is at tier 3. This turtleback armor, this design of armor is what makes the German battleships so tough and so tanky at higher tiers. And check this out. At tier 3, the turtleback, the casemate, has 102 millimeters of protection, right? It also has this 13 millimeter plate over here, less fancy, less special. And that part, the lighter armor here doesn't matter that much because this 102 millimeter armor is wrapped around our Citadel. So check that out, 102 millimeters of armor on the turtleback. And then after the shell breaks through 102 millimeters of turtleback, it has to break through another 76 or 51 millimeters of armor as well. The thin plating we have here on the side is sloped down and inward, which makes it a little bit harder to get shells through there, especially low tier shells, which tend to have less velocity and less pen power than higher tier ships. So that extra armor that is stacked on top of the Citadel gives us 102 millimeters plus another 76 millimeters of armor for where we're going to try to punch through and hit the Citadel. It makes it very challenging to Citadel at St. Louis. So comparing St. Louis to something like Caledon, the British tier 3, first of all, there's no casemate on here at all, let alone a turtleback casemate. And secondly, the Citadel belt armor here is just 76 millimeters all by itself, not 102 millimeters plus a nicely angled 76 millimeters. No. This is a perfectly flat, perfectly vertical, perfectly out of the water Citadel on the Caledon. St. Louis has none of those weaknesses. This design with this big, heavy, flat casemate 102 millimeters plus 76 millimeters on the Citadel itself, plus the slope of that armor makes it challenging for armor to pen. When you take a look at the armor diagrams or the penetration diagrams for AP shells that World of Warships has on the wiki, you can see that that obviously makes that more difficult to pen. And I'll try to put those up on the screen here while I'm talking about this. So this Citadel design in the St. Louis is more modern in some ways, at least, than it should be. And it has a turtleback at tier 3. So when next time somebody says, the St. Louis is my favorite ship because it has so many guns, you can say, yes, and push up your glasses like a real geek. Woo! And then say, yeah, but did you know that it has a turtleback casemate? The Makarov is a ship that is known for a huge PR debacle for World of Warships. You may remember last Christmas of 2020, this ship was on the infamous short list of being in the Christmas containers and being very likely. In fact, that's where I got my Makarov. I made a whole video about it. The Makarov is a tier 6 Russian premium ship that's a version of the Nuremberg. Now, I do not like the Nuremberg. I am on record of telling people that the Nuremberg is not my kind of boat. It's not good. As World of Warships players, we all know that the Nuremberg is hot trash. I don't think it's a fun boat, but I do recognize that it has some great capabilities, and I do recognize that high skill players can get a lot out of it. So everybody says the Makarov is that crappy ship that they made everybody have for the Christmas event. But what we're overlooking is some of the great attributes in this boat. In fact, I've had very good battles in this boat, and I believe that it rewards high skill play. And again, like I said, I made a whole video about it. You can go check that out if you're interested. The Makarov has 16.3 kilometer gun range. It's got 38 millimeter HE pen. That means we've got a Russian ship that retains the German quarter pen, the German HE pen buff that a lot of German ships get, which means that if you use IFHE, you can actually push that pen to 47 millimeters, which is great, especially at tier 6. But 38 is probably good enough, and then you keep your fire chance. I'd probably not go with the IFHE. Just something to think about. The Makarov has a better continuous AA damage than the Nuremberg has, and it's 188 hit points instead of 169 hit points per second. Not a huge difference, but it's a benefit to going with the Makarov. The acoustics are a little bit worse than the Nuremberg, however. It's got torpedo protection of 3 kilometers, ship protection of 4 versus the German 375 and 5.5. Of course, that makes sense. The Germans in this game have a traditionally better acoustic loadout than most of the other nations. The other benefit to the Makarov is that you can slot in your Nevsky captain or your Moskva captain or whatever, your Khabarovsk captain. So not very many people, I believe, and I'm going out on a limb here, I haven't done any research, but I'm going to say that I don't think there's a lot of people who have a 20-point captain on their Nuremberg. But I have a 20-point captain on my Makarov. And for something like upcoming clan battles at tier 6, I bet you there's going to be some folks who really know how to work this ship who are going to put 21-point captains on there and really teach people a lesson. Now, the other cool thing that I wanted to throw out before I got too far away, and I should have talked about this earlier with the guns, is the artillery. If we hover over the main battery here, 960 meter per second guns. So not only can you shoot 16.3 kilometers, but you can do it with high velocity shells and pretty reasonable dispersion at that range, particularly amongst tier 6 ships. The Makarov is not a bad boat, but it is a boat that demands that you give as much skill as you can to get out the most output. So while everybody talks about the PR debacle that was the reason I have this ship, we should be talking about some of this ship's virtues as well. The USS Kidd is one of Skada Hertz's favorite ships. Skada, if you don't know, is my wingman. He joins me on pretty much every one of my streams. You can find both of us on our stream on Tuesday nights at 8 p.m. Pacific time on Twitch at twitch.tv/ClydePlaysLive or on Saturday mornings at 9 a.m. at the same URL. Now, Skada has been raving about the Kidd forever. He played a bunch of it in Tier 8 ranked, and he thinks it's just the greatest boat ever. And I said, yeah, okay, that's fine. It's another US premium. And then I asked the Clyde Plays Discord, hey guys, are there any ships that have attributes that you feel are overlooked? And I got a response back from one of our players, not Odysseus, who said, I think the Kidd is overlooked, and he gave me some reasons why. And I said, fine, the two of you guys, I'll go look into it and see what's so special about the Kidd. And I had heard a little bit about the Kidd, but honestly, this is a ship that's been in the game for a long time. It was released in World of Warships in November of 2017. So this is a 4-year-old premium, and a lot of times we think of older premiums as maybe not keeping pace with the rest of the game, but I think the Kidd is actually surprisingly powerful, and we'll talk about that as we go. So what do people talk about when it comes to the Kidd? Well, not much. People don't talk about the Kidd. You see them out there, and I think you see more Kidds than ever before because of the special event we had with Leroy Jenkins, a sailor who served on the actual Kidd. And so I think nowadays we see more Kidds than we did, but for a long time, this was not a very popular premium boat. So I would say that people don't really talk about the Kidd. It doesn't come up in World of Warships conversation. What people overlook is that the Kidd is the Musashi to the Fletcher's Yamato. We know that the Musashi is a tier 9 version of the Yamato, which is a tier 10, and it basically is relatively unchanged. The Kidd is a tier 8 version of the tier 9 Fletcher, but the Kidd is better. And I don't understand how they got away with this. Let's talk about the difference. First of all, Kidd is a tier 8 Fletcher, but it has a heel, and Fletcher doesn't. In fact, Kidd might be, as far as I know, the only US destroyer of any kind, premium or otherwise, that has a hull repair module, and that is super awesome. A hull repair allows you to make a mistake or to get caught out in a situation and then recover somewhat. And if it isn't even a mistake, maybe you just took some damage because you spent some of your hit points as a currency to get some damage on an enemy. Now you can get some of those hit points back. This is an unheard of feature on the US destroyer line. The Kidd also has a little bit less hit points than the Fletcher. The Fletcher has 20,250 hit points, and Kidd, I believe, let's take a look, has 16,700. It can get up into the 19,000 range with Survivability Expert on your captain. The guns are identical. There are 5 single barrel turrets. They each do 1800 damage max HE with 21mm HE pen and a 5% fire chance. So that's the same. Although Fletcher's base range is a little bit longer at 12.9 kilometers versus Kidd's 12.1. With Captain Perks, you can push both of those up over 14, and you can even get the Fletcher up to 15 with the upgrade module that you can plug on there. The armor profile for the two ships is exactly the same, so we lost nothing there in terms of coming down a tier. So really what happened was we got a little bit less hit points, basically. If you know of another difference between the Kidd and the Fletcher that I'm not thinking of, let me know in the comments below. I'd love to hear it. The base heal on the Kidd is 84 hit points per second. And if you have survivability export, that raises your overall base hit points, and that raises the number of hit points per second you get out of the heal. It jumps from 84 hit points up to 98 hit points per second. Detect on this ship is 5.8 kilometers once you have a camo and a captain on there, and the concealment upgrade. The Fletcher this is a Fletcher. This is a Fletcher at tier 8 with a heal. You lose a little bit of gun range, but honestly, who cares? Like, this is better than the Fletcher, and it's down a tier. I'll tell you what, this ship was so impressive as I was looking it over that I went and bought one as a result of making this video. Scott doesn't even know yet. I haven't even told him. But like literally, I looked into this. They said the ship is good, whatever. I said, fine, I'll look into it. But yeah, this ship is really, really good. Everybody loves the Fletcher, and people talk about how good the Fletcher is at tier 9. Well, what if you could have a Fletcher at tier 8 and it could have a hull repair? I don't know why you wouldn't go for it. So I went and purchased a Kidd. I'm not telling you to do it. You don't have to, but this boat is incredible. And the thing about it is people don't talk about it that much. I'm glad that it came up recently with the USS Kidd event that World Warships ran here a couple months back, because that got people talking about it enough that now I have one in my port. And I don't know if this is a boat that's going to get removed from the game someday, but I could see it being removed from the game. Like I say, it's the Musashi to Fletcher's Yamato, except for in this case, it's better. So the Kidd is great. People don't talk about it, and they should. Hey, thank you so much for watching today's video. I hope you enjoyed what you saw today. If you did, hit the like button. Maybe leave a comment down below. What ship do you think? People always talk about one thing and they overlook something that you feel is really important. I'd love to know what you guys think, and maybe some other ships we could do similar segments on in the future. Is there a deep dive on a ship that you'd like to see? A comparison maybe? Let us know, and we'll see what we can do about getting something put together. Obviously, if you'd like to join us on Twitch, you can catch us on twitch.tv/ClydePlaysLive on Tuesday nights at 8 p.m. Pacific time, or Saturday mornings at 9 a.m. You can follow me on Twitter at ClydePlaysGames, and we can talk about ships and things there. And of course, I mentioned earlier in the video, we have a Discord now for Clyde Plays and the community that's building up around the stream and the YouTube channel. You can join us there for hot ship discourse and goss. Hot goss for ships, that's dumb. But hey, you can come hang out with us there. We'd love to have you. So again, thank you for watching this video. I hope you have a fantastic time. I asked the Clyde Plays Discord what ships to have. I asked the members of the Clyde's Play, and get my own name right. Hey guys, Clyde here. Today we are filming. No.